Manshine City versus Ubers, one of the most underrated matchups in the NEL.
Both of these teams are coming off losses and have a lot to prove.
Even though both teams did lose their last match, Ubers showed a lot of promise. Many Ubers players achieved some form of awakening that helped them improve as an individual as well.
In comparison to Manshine City, all the Ubers players saw an increase in their rankings, while some of the Manshine players saw a decrease in their rankings. So at first glance, you can definitely make the argument Ubers seem like the more impressive team.
On paper, Ubers are looking like the more stacked team, but something tells me Manshine City could pull an upset because Manshine City's players still have that X factor. Maybe Manshine City will push themselves to new limits and earn their first win in the NEL.
It's hard to predict, but let's discuss some of the matchups and possibilities within the Ubers versus Manshine match. Let's talk about the biggest factors for the match, which will be the aces of Manshine City and Ubers, Barou, Nagi, Chigiri.
The matchup involving these three will definitely show the most crucial moments in the match, but who will have the biggest impact? And one of the first matchups I want to bring up, Barou versus Nagi. Who between these two are going to have the bigger impact on the team?
This matchup will be the most important and most hype. Barou is coming off of a loss to Isagi. Barou will refuse to take another loss here, which could mean trouble for all of Manshine City. And let's face it, Nagi's going to have to lock in here and truly evolve and adapt if he has any hope of winning against Barou. It's clear that Nagi has reached a downward spiral. He needs to develop as an individual and secure a new philosophy. And maybe the match against Ubers and Barou will be the key.
One of the reasons we say Ubers and Barou might be the key to Nagi's development is because we saw in the spin-off episode Nagi, Barou was the first one to agitate Nagi. Barou was the first one to threaten Nagi's idea of being Reo's partner and his idea of playing football. And that was one of the first moments we saw Nagi show egotistic aura. At that moment, even Barou recognized Nagi's ego. Maybe Barou would trigger something again within Nagi.
Barou is someone who wants to reign as the sole king of the team, and he has achieved that with Ubers. Maybe facing Barou again will push Nagi. Maybe seeing Barou successfully reign as the king of Ubers will serve as a catalyst for Nagi to acquire his king-like ego.
I really hope something like this happens because I think Nagi is going to need something like this if he actually wants to help Manshine win this match. It's obvious that Nagi is falling behind the other top players in Blue Lock in terms of development. Nagi still needs to develop as an individual. He needs to be able to think for himself, create plays for himself so he can shine as a star. And if this doesn't happen, I can definitely see Ubers and Barou just running over Nagi and Manshine.
If Nagi wants to stay in the top rankings, then he's going to need an evolution. And this match could be that crucial moment for him. But let's talk about Barou versus Chigiri. This could be an interesting matchup to see.
Best thing about this matchup too is that it's just so unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get between these two because you can't predict Barou and you definitely can't predict Chigiri in the speed. Both players have been able to use their strengths to their advantages and both players have been able to show their worth in every single match. Chigiri and Barou have both scored in every NEL match so far. I don't want anyone to think that this is going to be an easy matchup for either of them because it really could go either way due to their strengths.
Yeah, we saw after the initial training with Chris Prince, Chigiri achieved a new golden formula, 44 Panther Snipe. And thanks to this formula, Chigiri has solidified himself as a striker and an ace for Manshine City. He was the only player to have an impact in that PxG match.
Yes, we've seen Chigiri develop in the NEL, where Nagi's been falling off, Chigiri's been picking it up and evolving way past and even taking his spot as the ace of Manshine. I definitely think the matchup between Chigiri and Barou is going to be a big thing because at first glance, they're definitely going to have the biggest impact.
I know we said these players, Barou, Chigiri, and Nagi, will have the most crucial moments, but we can't forget about the Ubers defenders and the role they will have in this match. I'm talking about Lorenzo, Niko, Aiku, and Aiku. They will definitely have an impact on this match.
Aiku is the first one that really comes to my mind because we saw he just gained Metavision, and I'm very curious about the Aiku versus Chigiri matchup, especially because we saw Aiku and Chigiri go against each other in the U20 match. There's a moment where Chigiri absolutely burned Aiku, and now that Chigiri's evolved himself as a striker, I kind of want to see how that matchup would go now because now he has that golden formula with 44 Panther Snipe. Aiku has Metavision. That looks like a crazy matchup, and I can't wait to see that duel.
With Aiku's total defense and reflex abilities, he could actually give Chigiri problems here. As we saw before in the U20 match, he can put himself in a position just about anywhere in order to intercept just about any ball. So it'll be interesting to see if Chigiri can outrun that reflex ability.
Yeah, it's very much going to be Aiku's experience and planning, a very absolute speed. I think they're both going to have the upper hand at some moments, but I don't know if Aiku's going to really be able to contain Chigiri like that. I think Aiku can stop Chigiri if he gets the help of Niko, Reo, potentially even Lorenzo, because Lorenzo the ace either. Maybe he'll focus on Chigiri more to help out, but either way, they're going to need a lot of help to contain Chigiri.
Well, let's talk about Aiku versus Nagi. Aiku could prove to be a real problem for Nagi, but it's also possible that this matchup will be the key for Nagi's growth. We just talked about Aiku's reflex ability. He can put himself into position to intercept just about any ball. I could see this creating a situation where Nagi will have to become very creative to get around Aiku. Maybe we'll see something even crazier than that 5-shot revolver fake volley.
Nagi might actually have to force himself to push past his already lazy demeanor, but what if Aiku does get Niko, Ryu, and Lorenzo to help out as well, similar to how they want to contain Chigiri? Nagi's gonna have to find a new way of linking up, and he's gonna have to brainstorm. He's gonna have to find some creative way to break the Uber's defense. It's not easy. We saw how hard it was for Isagi and the Bastard Munchen team. Nagi's gonna have to bring something out of him if he wants to bring an impact to this game. This Uber's defense is definitely gonna be the biggest obstacle for Manshine.
Well, then let's talk about Lorenzo versus Chigiri.
In this match, I'm assuming Lorenzo's gonna mark Chigiri more because Chigiri is the current ace of Manshine. He's viewed as more valuable, so maybe Lorenzo will put more focus onto him. That way Aiku versus Nagi could be more of a matchup, but I definitely see Lorenzo focusing more on Chigiri, and maybe Lorenzo will be able to stop Chigiri somewhere, some form. Maybe with Niko's help as well, they can contain him. Lorenzo's been able to shut down Kaiser, so maybe he could shut down Chigiri with the help of some other players.
Normally, I would see the matchup starting with Lorenzo marking Nagi, but as we've seen, Nagi is kind of on fraud watch right now, and Chigiri is going to take over more of that ace role here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lorenzo marking Chigiri right at the beginning of this match.
I'm not going to say Lorenzo's not going to duel against Nagi, but I do see Chigiri as the main ace, and Lorenzo's going to have his work cut out for him. He's going to have to mark Chigiri for a lot of that match, and I definitely see multiple players having to mark Chigiri at the same time. I definitely see Lorenzo having an easier time with Nagi, if I'm being honest, though. I think Lorenzo versus Nagi will be an easier matchup for Lorenzo compared to Lorenzo versus Chigiri.
Well, let's discuss about it. Like we said, Lorenzo was able to give someone like Michael Kaiser a lot of problems. He stops plenty of his attacks. Now, maybe Nagi awakens in this match, and Lorenzo now has to mark Nagi instead. Maybe Nagi's trapping ability will be the key to defeating Lorenzo in this matchup. Nagi will also have to come up with an answer for Lorenzo's zombie dribbling style, which links up well with Barou.
Nagi's gonna need Reo's help or some help from the midfield, because Nagi definitely can't do that by himself. Nagi doesn't have the abilities to shut down someone like Lorenzo, and the difference between Isagi and Kaiser is that they also have those high IQ plays, but Nagi's definitely gonna need some assistance when it comes to Lorenzo. But what does make me think there's a glimmer of hope is that Nagi has that X factor. I think maybe with some help from Reo and Chigiri, Nagi might be able to link up and create something so crazy it could break down Lorenzo. Because what could be a better test for Nagi and Manshine after that loss to Rin than playing against Uber's absolute defense? Playing against someone like Aiku and Lorenzo could be the greatest test for Nagi.
Definitely want to see something crazy from Nagi here. Let's hope he locks in.
I want to bring up two more players who I think will be the key players for their teams. Reo versus Niko might be the most underrated and slept on matchup.
These two will be the key players in the midfield for their retrospective team. Reo was hinted to having Metavision, and maybe in his matchup against Niko, he will be able to awaken it. Since Niko was able to understand and use Metavision from Isagi in the Bastard Munchen match, then maybe Reo will in hand learn it through Niko. If Reo learns how to utilize Metavision and his chameleon style, then he could be one of the greatest midfielders and complete players.
That's a very scary thought because Reo might very well achieve Metavision. We know many players are going to achieve Metavision at this point. Players with great spatial awareness can achieve this, and if Reo achieves Metavision with his chameleon style, he's going to be able to copy that and then expand his level even more by being able to read the game at such a high level. Like, I don't think people are really understanding Reo's going to become one of the most dangerous players if he actually achieves this.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you there.
And then Niko is actually one of the youngest players in Blue Lock, but he's shown some of the biggest potential. This man learned Metavision, and he's been keeping up with some of the top players. Niko's a complete defensive player as well, and I think if Niko is on his best game, he could shut down most teams. So the matchup between Reo and Niko is going to be the key for their teams.
I can see it coming down to that. But I think we need to ask the biggest question here. How will Nagi answer for his loss from the PxG match?
I'm a big Nagi fan, but Nagi's going to have to lock in here. He was completely exposed in that match. He lost in every way or form against Rin, and his value dropped a disgusting amount. If there was ever a time for Nagi to step up and evolve, it's right now. Manshine need him, and Nagi needs this moment as well as an individual.
I agree. I mean, we're talking about the same player that pulled out that super impressive 5-shot revolver fake volley. He's extremely talented, and I believe he will be able to evolve to new levels. Barou will absolutely challenge Nagi's abilities and push him to be an even better player.
I think Barou could agitate and create a chance for Nagi to spark an evolution, but I need Nagi to show some frustration. I need Nagi to show some passion. He can't be the lazy genius anymore. Nagi's gonna have to develop as a person, and I really hope this happens because that's gonna be a key factor for Manshine City as well. I think at the end of the day, Reo, Nagi, Chigiri, they're gonna have to evolve and step up big amount because they're the key players for Manshine.
I agree with you. We need those players to find themselves here on the field and truly become the players that they're meant to be, because we know that they're great players. They need to show it now.
That being said, Lotus, who do you think is gonna win the match? Manshine City or Ubers?
After reviewing the factors, honestly, honestly, Tev, I think Ubers is going to win this all. I really think they look like the strongest team right here. I really believe Barou's ego is just too strong, and he is not going to take another loss, especially after losing to Isagi. I cannot see a world where Ubers lose this game.
I agree with you. I think Ubers on paper is the best team, and unless Nagi can pull some miracle evolution, I don't see Manshine winning. But Manshine has the X factors, but Ubers have the players, they have the system, they have the formations. I think they're probably the third best team. Obviously, you can make a debate for PxG, Bastard Munchen being the best, and then Ubers is right there with them. I don't know if Manshine has the abilities to beat that, but I will say Manshine City versus Ubers will be a fun match to see. As an end result, I'm going to say Ubers is going to win 3-2. Nagi and Chigiri will score a goal. Barou will get another hat trick.
I like that prediction. I have Ubers winning. I do think Nagi is going to awaken, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to win this game.
Let us know what you guys think about the Manshine versus Ubers match. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.